Imagine you wake up to an email that makes your chest tighten before you even finish the first sentence. Subject line: urgent structural failure. Payment required in 72 hours. I thought it was spam. It wasn't. According to Karen, our HOA president, the entire neighborhood was facing critical foundation instability, property values at risk, insurance denied, immediate emergency repair fund activated. My share? $3,800, due in 3 days. Or a lien would be placed on my home. No vote, no prior notice, just fear wrapped in formal language. That evening, I went to the clubhouse. Karen stood at the front in a cream blazer and pearls, voice steady, almost soothing. Behind her was a slide titled Emergency Community Stabilization Fund. She spoke about liability exposure and protecting our investments. She even paused for dramatic effect. An elderly couple in front of me whispered about pulling from retirement. A single mom beside me wiped her eyes quietly. Karen folded her hands and said gently, "This is not optional." Welcome to the HOA Tales, where entitlement always backfires. Smart wins, loud loses, every time. If you love sweet revenge served intelligently, you're in the right place. But before we continue, tell us where you're watching from. It makes us happy to see how far our stories travel. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I almost believed her. Almost. But I work in commercial insurance, and one thing Karen said was impossible. And I knew it. I didn't confront Karen that night. That's what she expected. Panic, emotion, immediate payment. Instead, I went home and opened my laptop. She had claimed the repairs weren't covered by insurance due to policy exclusions tied to structural neglect. That's a very specific phrase. The kind of phrase people use when they want to sound informed. There was just one problem. I had reviewed this community's master policy 2 years ago when I helped a neighbor understand storm damage coverage. So I pulled the documents, and there it was. And there it was, full structural coverage, including foundation stabilization, no exclusion, no denial, no pending dispute. In fact, 3 weeks ago, an adjuster had already inspected the property. My stomach dropped. Because if an adjuster inspected it, there would be a report. And if there was a report, there would be a claim decision. The next morning, I made one phone call. By noon, I had confirmation. Not only had the claim been approved, the insurance company had already issued payment, paid in full, wire transferred to the HOA's operating account. 10 days ago, I stared at the confirmation email for a long time. $142,600. Cleared. Karen stood in front of frightened homeowners and said insurance denied the claim. That wasn't a misunderstanding. That wasn't confusion. That was a choice. And now the question wasn't whether she lied. The question was, where did the money go? I couldn't keep it to myself. Karen had manipulated the entire neighborhood, weaponizing fear for what she claimed was an emergency. She had forced neighbors, friends, seniors, single parents to hand over thousands for a fund that already existed, and now it was time to make her accountable. I printed every document, every insurance email, every official report. I compiled a timeline, inspection dates, payment confirmations, communication logs. It all told the same story. Karen lied. Every word, every pause in her speech had been deliberate. At the next HOA meeting, I arrived early. Karen was already there, adjusting her pearls, clipboard clutched like armor. She smiled at me, that tight, polite smile that always made people uneasy. Then the projector clicked on. I started with the inspection report, then the payment confirmation, then her own email to the board claiming insurance denial. The room went silent. Eyes widened. Neighbors whispered, shocked murmurs spreading across the room like wildfire. Karen's smile froze. She tried to regain control. That's not, she stammered. But every document was laid bare, undeniable. Every lie exposed. Every fear she had instilled evaporated in seconds, and then the twist. I showed the wire transfer. Direct deposit, already cleared to the HOA account. Funds she had already attempted to claim as unavailable. The room erupted in gasps. Some residents laughed. Others shook their heads. Karen's face was pale, lips pressed tight, pearls askew. She had tried to orchestrate fear, but now she was the one frozen in panic. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Karen tried to speak. It's complicated, she began, but nobody listened. The room was no longer hers. Every whisper, every gaze, every pointed finger reminded her of the trust she had betrayed. Neighbors she had intimidated, manipulated, and threatened now stood united, armed with truth. I watched as her hands trembled over the pearls on her necklace. The clipboard slipped, clattering to the floor. The same clipboard she had used to wield fear, now useless. Someone laughed quietly, then another. The sound spread. Not cruel, but victorious. Sweet justice. Karen's tight smile finally cracked. She stumbled, trying to regain authority, but the room had shifted. She was alone in her arrogance. I held up the final piece, the HOA's official bank statement showing her attempted mis. Every cent accounted for, every lie exposed. The community had proof she had deliberately twisted words, falsified claims, and terrorized homeowners. By the time she realized her position was untenable, it was too late. The board voted unanimously. Karen was removed from office, barred from any HOA duties, and required to issue a full apology to the neighborhood. Her downfall wasn't quiet. Phones captured every reaction, neighbors whispered every word, and her smug, calculated persona crumbled in real time. It was over. But the lesson lingered. Power wielded without accountability always backfires. Fear can be exposed. Lies cannot survive scrutiny. Share this story with your loved ones. Tell us where you're watching from. It makes us happy to see how far our stories go. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And Karen, she's still remembered as the HOA president who tried to rule through fear and lost spectacularly.